Like the fire, feel the beat. Gday Gridiron can't be beat. Lift your knee and bring the heat. Press the MVP elite. From the outback through the field, we got tackles hard to steal. Catch the passes, make it real. Gridiron warriors never kneel. Gday Gridiron, down under and beyond. Gday Gridiron, yeah, the podcast come on strong.
G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to the Gday Gridiron podcast, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. Week 14 is upon us in the NFL. We are edging closer and closer to playoff football, end of season, and all the big lights and spectaculars as we get towards a Super Bowl finish every single season. We're back with all of the G'day Gridiron crew in a virtual room full of some amazing NFL analysts from down under and beyond. How are we doing today, boys? Brad, Nick, Isaac, everybody in the house. A bit of a shaky start because my internet decided it wants to just go to poo as soon as we start a podcast, even though we have done, well, Isaac and I have done 2 other podcasts this week. Already, and we've still got more to go. So, how are we going, Brad and Nick? First time this week I've seen your faces.
Yeah. Lucky you. Beautiful. We're getting into the weeds, into the thick of it here with the playoff race, and everything's shaping up to. So it's an exciting time for football. It's an exciting time of the year with Christmas. So I'm loving it. I spent the week this weekend putting up 3 Christmas trees.
Jeez, Christmas trees.
I know. I'm gone a little overboard, but
bloody Americans.
Well, no. We bought the place, and the guy, it's a deceased estate, and the guy had a tree left here. So, and it was never been opened in the box. So
that doesn't mean you need to use it. You don't use a dead person's tree, Brad.
No. Got to honor him. So it's our Ray tree, we call it. So yeah,
Absolutely a big fat no.
My wife says, "Well, that tree cost us over $1 million. We're going to put it up." So,
that's.
Oh, you I thought
that was. Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough, Brad. Fair enough. It's still in my book. That's probably 3 trees too many.
Oh no! It's the best holiday of the year. But anyway,
no, ours isn't even up yet. Kids have been bugging the shit out of us, so we're like, no. We're using it as punishment at the moment. Tree's not going.
Jeez.
Tree's not going up until you behave yourself.
Until you wash Daddy's car.
He blew up about it this afternoon. I said, he goes, it's December 5th already, Dad. The tree's not up yet. I said, I don't care if it's December 25th. Things not going up until your attitude improves.
Yes! Dad, laying the smack down.
Take that, son.
Occasionally these dad lines just come out of your mouth, spewing out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know you would definitely know about that already, Brad, with having much older kids. You find yourself saying some shit and you're like, oh, did I really just say that?
Yep. 100%. Unfortunately, wait till your kids get older. My daughter this year has kept a quote book. So now, anytime
I want it. Tell her I want it.
Anytime we say something stupid, she writes it down, and she's got a full on PowerPoint she's gonna do on Christmas Day for us.
No. Well, tell her to send it to me, Brad, and it's going along.
Some of the things that come out of my mouth, I'm just like, oh no.
That's exactly, Brad. Some of the things that come out of your mouth on these podcasts, I already know. So, tell her I want that, please.
And this is what Dad said when watching the Cowboys multiple times this
That's right.
Tell her I'll do her a deal. I'll send her some of the stuff that you say here, so she can include it in the presentation too. All right?
No. Oh man.
Oh, absolutely a big fat no.
Yeah.
Because I've got drops for days. I joked with the boys on the first of the fantasy podcasts that we did. No, what was it? Oh, one of them that we did this week already. Because I've filled in for Matty C again this week, and I'm producing the podcast, so my workload went through the roof. Or I guess you could say I may as well use it.
To the moon!
So, yeah, I joked that I've got enough drops from Brad right now that I could probably create Brad AI, and we could just insert him into anybody's podcast.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
So, Christmas time, boys. It's at Christmas time. There's always things we like to watch. There's lots on TV. I thought we'd have a little bit of a chat about what sort of stuff we like to watch around Christmas, and this is all inspired by the fact that Hard Knocks starts in the States this week, but of course we're in Australia, so because Hard Knocks, or the in-season Hard Knocks, is owned by HBO Max, apparently Australia doesn't exist to HBO.
No.
They're part of the American society that thinks that Australia is just some kind of mythical place that's been made up and doesn't exist on the map.
Actors.
Yeah, we're all paid actors. That's right. On some kind of set somewhere. Yeah, but it is just so. I figured we can't watch Hard Knocks and talk about it. I would love to, but I'm just way too lazy for a VPN to just watch a show. So, what stuff are we watching? What do we watch at Christmas, boys? Nick, is there anything you sort of Is there sort of religious things that, not religious, but just things you watch religiously every year? We're getting the theology podcast again, Isaac. I'm there again.
Yes.
Religiously, yes, absolutely. I don't know about religion, but the Boxing Day presents some great sporting viewership compared to Christmas Day. Wake up at 3:30, start with the NBA. There's 5 games on back-to-back, always a classic. Always a game which my team loses. I won't mention who they are because they're very embarrassing right now. Anyway, leads into now there is Christmas Day games in the NFL. So the NFL's caught on to Christmas Day games. So there will be. I think there's 2 games this year.
On Netflix.
So there'll be 2 of those.
No, Netflix.
2 of those. 5 NBA games, and then there's always some sort of soccer that's on in Australia in the A-League, and then also in the Premier League as well. That's later on at night. And then in between, you've got the Boxing Day test. So it's the best day of the year for sport. It's phenomenal. It's up from 3:30 until 3:30 at night. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Do you just watch sport non-stop on Christmas days, Boxing Day, do you?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, I kind of used to with the Boxing Day test. I used to probably sit and watch Boxing Day test, like, just watch cricket all day.
How many
but
screens,
I don't
Nick?
get into that too much more.
What's that?
How many screens you got going?
Oh, the most I can get, well, if I log into everything at once, I've got like 2 monitors that I use for work, and then I've got like my laptop, which I'm using this on, and I've got my phone. So technically at once I could maybe get 4. I could get 5 if I got the TV in the background. So I have NBA, NFL, the cricket. So I got 3 to work with at once. So it works well.
When Nick gets his own place, he's going to be one of those guys that has a wall that just has TV screens on it.
Yeah.
All
It'll
different
be like a
sizes.
sports
So
bar.
A room with 10 TVs.
You
All
say
with different
sports bar,
things
but
on.
in my brain, I'm envisioning like Nick sitting in a dark room in a weird leather chair watching just some weird shit on TV. Anyway,
It's like in LeBron's house. There's like 16 TVs just lined up 4x4, just with different something different on. It's just incredible. That's the dream.
Isaac, Christmas TV movies. What do we got?
I religiously watch Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2 with the kids.
There you go.
So they like staying up, and we watch those every year because they're the ones that Dad likes, and then my wife watches
that's the other ones we watch.
Yeah, my wife watches
That's
the other
what Dad
ones with
likes
the
to watch, and you
other
can all
guys.
deal with it.
That's right.
Oh, what, like all the actual Christmas movies she watches?
Yeah. So
So you mean Die Hard 1, 2, and 3?
Oh, please.
I honestly don't even know what movies they are. Whatever's on Foxtel or Netflix, they find something.
Oh, fair enough. Brad, what about you? What you would have grown up with some interesting traditions, no doubt.
Oh yeah, huge traditions. Like just growing up, we did do the religious thing in terms of like I had to go to church on Christmas Eve and that type of thing. Christmas Day was always. I grew up. We couldn't even turn the TV on. Like my parents were strict. We couldn't turn the TV on Christmas Day, but that was okay because we got a bunch of toys and all this and that. Nowadays, our go-to is Elf, the movie.
Oh,
So, yeah. That's our family go-to. Even though the kids are kind of sick of it, we make them sit and watch it, and we say no. We say no phones. I don't care that you're 22 years old. No phones. So that type of thing.
We don't have anything yet because our kids are young.
Sure.
So but I'm trying to find some inspiration. This is why I'm asking questions of people this year. I want to find some inspirations of what I can force my kids to watch every single year for the rest of their lives. Because when I'm old and they've got to look after me, they're going to have to put up with my shit traditions still. And
absolutely.
They'll have to do it out of loyalty and disrespect at that point.
Do the Elf or the original Christmas Story. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but yeah.
Well, we were just sitting there on the couch this afternoon, and wife and I just completely zonked, and the kids were just belting around the living room, and I gave them food, and they sat down. So I'm like flicking Foxtel on. There's the Grinch movie. I'm like, there we go, the animated one, the better one.
Yeah.
So, put that on. They sat there and watched The Grinch for 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, that's quiet time. We're sitting there talking on the couch. I'm like, we haven't talked like adults like this in weeks. What the fuck? So, I don't know. I think I'm going to go down Isaac's path and shoot up for, Home Alone 1.
Yeah, that's a classic. Yep.
Yeah. I fear that it would give my 9-year-old some ideas, but we'll see how that goes.
Where you go. If you bring him where you go, then it's all right.
Yeah. But if you walk down the stairs and step on a nail, then there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's the cutouts in the living room, just going across.
That's all right.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Oh my god! So one of the other things that is coming out this Christmas, astonishingly, they I don't know why they bring this out at Christmas, but announced this week is an Aaron Rodgers docu-series on Netflix called Engima. Now, I know Brad will not have been yet. Do it again for me, Nick, please. We're going full ASMR again, Isaac. We had Taylor whispering on a podcast yesterday. It was amazing. So Brad will not have reacted to this yet. I know the other boys may not have seen it. So you know what? It's about a 2-minute trailer. Let's play this and get some reactions as we go, because it looks good. I hate that it actually might be good, and it could be interesting. But let's go.
I live between two worlds of the extroverted and an introverted lover of silence. I'm trying to beat back Father Time and the expectations.
Well, he's losing.
Aaron Rodgers ain't for everybody.
Rodgers has shared controversial and crazy conspiracy theories.
It just feels like you're either for him or against him.
Losing friendships, family, it was heartbreaking.
Here come the Jets. Rodgers has something to prove. It is on. Protection breaks. Down goes Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers has officially tore his Achilles.
It's catastrophic.
Is it time for him to retire?
What does the future hold?
I can't believe the cameras were there the whole time.
Yeah, I love that they continue doing this.
What's the risk
It's all
of playing?
scripted.
That's not normal.
Yeah.
People are getting to see behind the curtain.
Have you thought about going into politics?
Once I started watching
Oh, Kennedy. Kennedy.
This is happening.
Most
I
people
can't wait
are
for
not
this.
doing the walking.
I'm not most people. I'm trying to find what a new edge is. There's football legacy,
Touchdown.
and then there's character legacy.
Who's going to be the big dog with me?
When I it comes to a stop. Who are you going to be?
I'll tell you what'll give you the edge. Accuracy. Throw the ball well.
December 17th on Netflix that comes out.
I'm watching it. I don't care. I don't care what you think of Aaron Rodgers. That was compelling, and I'm watching it.
Yeah. Totally agree, Brad. I am too. I'm going to be watching that. I loved it. So obviously they were already planning to do it because they were following him preseason and through all the Jet stuff.
Yeah.
And then he breaks his Achilles.
Well, they were Hard Knocks last year for preseason.
Yeah, that's right.
The cameras would have been there.
Well, they would have been, absolutely, I forgot about that. So he breaks his Achilles, and then they convince him to keep going through the whole thing to make something of the recovery.
Yeah.
And by the looks of it, they may even show an ayahuasca trip, which could be incredibly interesting.
Oh, it's obviously he's got something there. I mean, when he's doing like the sound therapy with the sound bowls and all this and that. So it'll be very, very compelling. So I'm curious to know in that same Netflix vein, because Jerry Jones, they were doing the same thing with him last season, but then I think it was supposed to come out this season, but then when they completely flamed out against the Packers in that horrible loss, I think he probably said, "No, we're not doing this anymore."
Yeah, well, that's certainly fair enough, I guess.
yeah, but we're 10 minutes in. I'm not talking about Jerry Jones. Let's go. Keep moving.
If I wanted to watch some hippies, I'd go to Byron Bay. Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Well, that's always a good time too, mate. Just sit on the beach and watch hippies just do a hippie thing. Yeah. All right. We aren't here just for a laugh. We are actually here for a laugh. That's the entertainment part. But we are here to preview some Week 14 games. Now, most people might think that there is slim pickings in Week 14. There are 6 teams on bye this week. Broncos, Colts, Patriots, Commanders, Ravens, and the Texans are all on bye. It's the second week of the season where there are 6 teams out on bye, so there's a lot less games to be played. And some of the games, I do have to admit, when you go down the game schedule, boys, we were doing it earlier in the week, there's just a lot of poo. It's a very flaccid week all around. I think I think the best game of the week is out of the way early, which would have been Thursday Night Football by the time you hear this, on Friday in Australia. So whatever happens there between Packers and the Lions is what it is. That seems like it would have been the best game of the week. But I did manage to find some storylines for 4 other games for us to preview, some bits and pieces to go around, and some games that will actually mean something to one or both teams that are playing in these games. So let's get on with a few game previews from Week 14. And we start with Atlanta Falcons at Minnesota Vikings. Kirk Cousins returns to Minnesota with the Falcons trying to stay ahead of the Seahawks in the NFC for who they'll play in the wildcard round. Vikings trying to keep pace, of course, in the NFC North with the Lions and the Packers battling it out for the division and, again, to be the highest placed team in that wildcard round just to see who they play and find that best matchup to get through that deadly wildcard round. The Vikings are now sitting at 10-2 on a 5-game win streak after a win last week. The Atlanta Falcons have a 6-6 record, leading the NFC South with a 6-6 record is ridiculous, but that division has been ridiculous for a few years now. They're tied with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but the Bucs unfortunately went down both games to the Falcons, so the Falcons are pretty well assured of taking that division now. Brad, it seems like it's going to be an interesting contest for the Falcons and Kirk returning to Minnesota for the first time since being shown the door.
Yeah, it's a fascinating game on so many levels, just because of all the subplots and like what you said, Kirk coming back and everything. But the way I'm sure Kirk was hoping that he'd come back, kind of riding this a real playoff contending team, and they might go to the playoffs still, like what you said, but it's going to be limping into the playoffs. So they are not firing on all cylinders. And last week was horrible. I mean, it's Kirk's one of his worst games ever. If you listen closely, you can hear Michael Penix Jr. Warming up in the background. So it's just that was bad. And the thing that, I mean, one telling stat is from last week at least, is that Atlanta outgained the Chargers 350 yards to 187. But the Chargers only ran 15 second half plays, and they got a total in the second half, a total of 40 yards, had 3 punts and a turnover on downs, no offensive points. So, and it's just, and yet Atlanta still barely won. The only reason they won is because Kirk threw a pick six, so it's just, Atlanta's just doing so many things wrong. It's really bad. It's really, really bad right now. And I don't think things are going to change much in this game. I think the way the Vikings are going to come after him and pressure him, it's just going to be too much for them. The Falcons have so many problems on both sides of the ball. The Vikings are really good at stopping the run, and so your Atlanta's not going to be able to run the ball. And it's just I'm leaning heavy on the Vikings in this game.
Yeah, the Falcons red zone offense was atrocious. That's what really let them down last week.
Yeah.
And I really want to see some Atlanta Falcons. This is prime time for Atlanta Falcons fans to be in the stands with the best slogan ever on a sign. And I want to see some of "Show us your Penix." Give me some "Show us your Penix." Nick, somebody picked the score right in this game last week.
Yes.
Chargers Falcons, that is. Wonder who that was. Nick on this very podcast said the exact scoreline in our game preview of Chargers Falcons.
How much would that have paid out, man?
I think I checked it. It was like $51 or something.
Oh, that's not as much as I thought it would have been.
It would have been more than that, sure.
I thought it would have been over 100.
That AI scoreline I put in last week for the game was like 206.
Jeez.
So yeah.
But anyway. Classic hardball ball last week. Run the football, absorb the clock, lockdown defense. It had it all. The thing for the Falcons that's it hasn't been just last week. The last few weeks, obviously 0-3, but Kirk Cousins himself is 62% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns and 6 picks in the last 3 games, and a 59 passer rating. So. Not very good numbers at all. I mean, there was a lot of throws last week where the ball is not zipping out at all. I mean, you've seen from early on, and I think it's due to the Achilles injury and maybe because of his age, it's carrying over. Yeah. He's not throwing off of his front foot as much as he should be. It's a lot of sort of back of the foot type stuff, a bit like Aaron Rodgers has done for most of his career. It's really just sort of not getting that power through the ball, and that's probably how that pick six had happened last week with that out route that sort of got cut off because he didn't really have the zip on it. If anyone knows probably how to play Kirk Cousins this week, it's definitely going to be the Vikings. I think it's going to go one of two ways. I think either the Falcons are really going to bounce back offensively, and I think Kirk's going to put on a show because he's back in Minnesota. They're going to throw the ball a lot, and he's just going to make it work. He's going to click. And then this offense is going to be humming again, or they're going to score maybe like a touchdown and they'll get absolutely slaughtered. I don't think there's much of an in-between. So I think it's going to be either really high scoring for both teams, or I think it's going to be quite a rough day for the Falcons because I don't think defensively them and I think Houston are probably the two teams that you'd want to be playing in the playoffs the first round. particularly for Atlanta, they have no pass rush at all. So they give you a lot of time, and Sam Darnold with that time is going to slice and dice you with the receivers and the weapons that he's got. So the pressure is all on the Falcons, and it's a must-win for both these teams.
Yeah, I think it will be a Kirk Cousins revenge game. Like, I think he will play really well, but I ultimately think they lose to the Vikings. So the Vikings have the best run defense in the league, but they're 28th in the pass defense. So there's opportunity for him to let it fly if he can get time to do it. And I just think the Vikings are more consistent, and they've got a better coaching staff and coaching schemes. So, I think they'll come away with the game. And just one to watch is Bijan against the run defense of the Vikings. Like, let's see if he can get something going against them.
How do we feel about, just really quickly, how do we feel about the -5.5 start the Vikings have got?
I'm taking the Vikings on that all day, personally.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, 5.5. I'll go with it. If it was at 7, I'd probably maybe look at the Falcons as maybe a backdoor cover, but I'll go with the Vikings. They're in form. We've got to see it with the Falcons.
Yeah, under a touchdown at home for the Vikings is pretty good line, actually. It's right on. So I thought it would have been more than that. All right, let's move on to our second game. And it is the Cleveland Browns at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers need this division win desperately to get to 3-1 in the division and put another nail in the Ravens' coffin. A win here could keep the Ravens at 5 or 6 in the AFC, and it would see the Steelers really jump up and sort of solidify their place in those AFC standings. The Browns, as we know, they're on 3-9 at the moment. They are basically out. I think with a loss here, it would actually eliminate them from playoff contention because they are mathematically possible to get there. But at the moment, it just seems like the Browns and the Browns players are playing for their jobs and showing what they could have done if they were allowed to, and it's coaching staff included, if they were allowed to freely play and coach how they wanted to with the team, even with Jameis. And after last week, with Jameis with 497 yards for his own team, over 600 yards Jameis threw for, including his interceptions. It's absolutely ridiculous. Jerry Jeudy with 235 through the air. It was a stellar performance, and this one, Nick, no doubt this one is going to be an absolute shootout after what we saw from both of these teams in Week 13.
And maybe the Lord will deliver Jameis Winston from his sixes as he had wished for during the week. I don't know because he had picks as well, so maybe he should have said maybe deliver him from poor decision making.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the last time was in it was in a blizzard, if we remember back not too long ago.
Week 12, 2 weeks ago.
So not sure what the weather conditions are like for this game, but
rain. It's supposed to be rain.
It's supposed to be raining. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's it. After the last 2 weeks, that's Browns. That's like a Browns game all over.
Yeah, must be considering they love the sort of cooler weather. So I reckon the best thing for both of these teams was if Mike Tomlin and Kevin Stefanski just walked out to the middle of the ground, just shook hands and say, "All right, Pittsburgh take the win, we'll take the loss, we'll get higher up in the draft." And Pittsburgh would just get along with just winning. I think if I'm Stefanski, everyone knows that he's dreading at the moment having to play Deshaun Watson and having to bring him back with that contract. If I'm the Browns, you're probably going to end up with a top 10 pick. If you look at it and you pick 8 or pick 7 or something, and there's Cam Ward, he's sitting there. Probably Shador Sanders is probably gone by then, but if there's a Cam Ward sitting there, would you be looking at it and going, maybe this could be a way out from getting underneath Deshaun Watson, at least from being on the field, So it could be something that Stefanski could work with. So If you're the Browns, I think Stefanski wouldn't mind just seeing the season out. If he gets the chance to be able to draft a quarterback, it'll be good for them. For the Steelers, like we did say, they're trying to lock up that 3 seed in the AFC. It's probably unlikely that they get hunted down by the Texans the way that Houston's been playing this year. But to be able to keep that edge, and particularly because it could be a matchup where the first week they could be facing the Ravens, so they could be versing them 3 times this year. So they'd definitely be wanting to see them in Pittsburgh and not in Baltimore. So while Baltimore's just dropped a couple games, particularly last week, the Steelers have sort of gotten back and they won a shootout last week. What the hell? When's the last time Pittsburgh's won a shootout? So they're showing at least that they can win in many different ways. So it could be a sign of a good team. Maybe just waiting for someone to just take them on and just say, oh, maybe they could give the Chiefs a run if they do meet later in the year. Who knows?
Yeah, I think the spread is too much on this game. I think this is, but I like the way the Browns can match up with this, but I think the Steelers are going to win. I think they're the type of team, Tomlin's not going to let them lose 2 times in a season to this Browns team. And the Steelers offense, they move the ball really well. They take their deep shots with Russ, and they run the game, and they run. But I just think when they get into the red zone, they just crumble. And they're in the bottom of the league. They're like 29th for the red zone offense because you can't take those deep shots. Everything's compressed. So the thing that the Steelers do have going for them is that the Browns' defense in the red zone is almost equally bad. So it's just going to see who's going to suck less when it comes to the red zones. So we'll see what happens. But if you can get a decent spread on this game, I would tend to lean towards the Browns on it. Because what are they getting? Is it 7 on this?
I think 6.5. Yeah.
Oh, is it 6.5?
Yeah.
Okay, that's right there. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I like the Steelers in this game too. I give the advantage to Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff over Stefanski. And TJ Watt is playing really well. He's got 5 sacks in his last 5 games, so he's averaging 1 a game. And I don't think he's going to give Jameis much time to sling it around. So I think he'll be hunting him down.
Who do we take for the spread? Interesting.
It is
an interesting line.
It is. It's right on that line. I don't know. I feel like my gut says to me to take, and it's a big gut, would to take the Browns at plus 6.5 because I feel like either Browns win or a close game because that's what it's been too.
I don't know.
Maybe the Steelers' offense is hitting its straps now after that shootout against the Bengals.
Yeah. I'm more looking at, I know Cleveland, more specifically, Jameis Winston gave up a lot of picks last week, but their defense wasn't that great either. Like, Bo Nix got through them quite well, considering. And that is a pretty good offense under Sean Payton. But it's maybe their defense not as good as we thought they'd be. If the conditions are a bit clearer than what they were the last time they met, which most likely they probably will be, I'll probably do like giving up the points with Pittsburgh with this one because I feel like this has to be a statement game. They have to separate with Baltimore on a bye because they'll win easy next week in New York against the Giants. So this definitely has to be a game where they don't want to give Baltimore any sort of sniff.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree. All right, let's move on to game number 3 for the week. And it is the Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. This one should be obvious, boys. It's an absolute race for the NFC West. The Seahawks are currently sitting at 7-5 in the division. Arizona Cardinals 6-6. The Cardinals are one game back in the division because the Seahawks have a 2-2 record. Cardinals 2-1. So what this amounts to is the Seahawks need to win this division. The Cardinals need to win to keep the race alive in the division and bring it down to games against other teams. It is pretty much that. The Cardinals come off a 23-22 loss to the Minnesota Vikings last week, where it was an interception by Shaquille Griffin in the last play of the game that sealed that win for the Vikings. The Seahawks come off a 26-21 win against the New York Jets, where they played woefully in the first half, Isaac. But in the second half, they scored all the points of the second half and were the beneficiary of 10 penalties in the fourth quarter to take that win against the Jets.
Who cares about this game? It's Rams, baby. Come on.
This is why I threw it to you.
No, I hate to say this, but I think the Seahawks are going to win. The fact that their last 3 wins have been close, they show that they can grind out a win. Gino's been a serviceable quarterback, but not outstanding. And I think they need to target JSN against the Arizona's middle of the road secondary and get Kenneth Walker back involved in the offense.
Yeah, this is, to me, this game is, I enjoy it. I think I'm looking forward to it. Actually, can't get any worse than the last time they played. So that was a woeful game. I tried to watch that, and it was just, oh yeah, I'd rather watch my son pick his nose. I mean, it was just, it was one of those. It was one of those games. If I'm betting on this game, I'm definitely taking the under just because I can't trust the offense, especially the Seahawks offense. That defense is looking lights out. McDonald's has that defense playing really, really well, especially on third downs. I think they have like the number 1 ranked defense on third downs, but the offense is not looking good at all. It's so weird because you talk about looking good. You look at Metcalf. That guy is a physical specimen. What is he? 6'4", 225, something like that. And he looks like he should just win every 50-50 ball known to man. But you watch him, and he plays with no authority whatsoever. He's got a power forward's body, but he's got a point guard mentality. It's just not. It's unfortunate the way he plays. It doesn't fit with his physique. So that offense I worry a little bit about, but the defense is lights out. So I'm definitely taking the under on this game. I don't care what it is. I'm taking the under. So yeah, good luck. But I think the Seahawks are going to pull it out.
2.5, Brad, is for the handicap, and the total is 44.5.
Yeah, I'm still even 44 is low, but I still would take it.
I must say though, on a side note, it's funny when Isaac said he hates to say it, but Seattle to win. I love it. We must be the only division where Arizona don't have like a rival between one of the 3 teams. It's so
That's
funny.
true, yeah.
Like no one no one hates Arizona, and like every time like they play like the Rams or Seattle, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather the Cards get up, sort of thing. It's so weird. Like I don't know any other division where like no team in the division has like a team that hates them the most. It's so weird.
It's definitely not the NFC North where we all hate each other equally.
No.
Yeah, we really do all hate each other equally.
I wonder if some of that comes from the fact that like the Seahawks used to be in the AFC and the Cardinals used to be in the NFC East. And I mean, this is a long time ago. I don't even know if you guys were paying attention to football back then, but you don't have these long-standing rivalries like you do in the NFC North, like you do in the NFC East. So I wonder if that has something to play with it.
AFC West, maybe? Does everybody hate the Chargers? Does anybody hate the Chargers?
I don't think anybody really hates the Chargers.
Not in the division. I can see that, like,
Well,
the
it used to
rivalries
be-
between Chiefs and Broncos and the Raiders and everybody, but
Well, it used to be up until about 10 years ago that no one really hated the Chiefs in that division. Maybe it's just because they've come good. Like I feel like between the root of particularly with our division, we've had rivalries between coaches. So you had, like, for us it was Harbaugh against Pete Carroll. We even had their rivalry dating back to college days, like between I think it was Stanford and USC when Pete Carroll was at USC. And then we've transitioned to, like, sort of Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. And then, we had Pete Carroll's Seattle team and how they used, we had a rivalry with them. And then in the playoffs, we've had, such a great rivalry with the Rams over the years. And then we've had playoff games. Like, the Cardinals really haven't had that with anyone within our division. Like, they just sort of had, like, sort of a few years where they, made it to a Super Bowl. And got really close against the Packers in that playoff game as well, but they haven't really, like, faced the team, like, a number of times, like in a rivalry sort of thing. Maybe it's just because they've got no history. It's just life.
But even that, you go with the coaches, and, like, there was a three-way merry-go-round that was there. Like, McVay always beat Pete Carroll, Shanahan always beat McVay. Yeah. And then Pete Carroll always beat Shanahan. It was like,
you're
the
right.
Cardinals just don't factor into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah.
So-
and plus they sucked. I mean, for so long. It's just, I mean, it's no fun to beat up on your, little stepbrother when you're 10 years old and he's 2. So it's,
So the interesting part to me, the really interesting part to me about this game, and the reason I threw to Isaac in the beginning originally was, if the Cardinals do win this game, like I said, they both end up at
7 and 6.
Cardinals, 7 and 6. Cardinals would be 2 and 2 in division. The Seahawks would end up at 2 and 3. Everything would come down to week 17 and 18, where both teams play the Rams.
how good would that be?
So
we're going to beat the Bills on Sunday.
Good luck with that.
The way this division is, man, I don't know. I think you rest everybody against the Bills just to rest up for division teams.
Yeah, right. But it's cool. It's cool that it's still in play. Theoretically, any team could win the division.
That's right.
Yeah, and they are all still in play, and that is amazing.
Even the
Sucks for the
49ers.
Rams and sucks for the Rams and the Seahawks because we got Arizona in week 18 in Arizona, so we'll be giving them that game. So there you go. Sucks to be used. Cop that.
It's what.
Nick, are you putting a fork in the 49ers? Are they done?
Mate, I'll put a fork in a long time ago. Mate,
Okay.
I've hopped on, for the rest of the year, I've hopped on the Chargers train. So I'm adopting the Chargers for the playoffs.
I love it. Yep.
I think there might still be a couple of weeks before they're officially eliminated from playoff contention, which is nuts. But that's just the way
49ers.
The
definitely
49ers. We all know they are, but you never know. The stupidity of the NFL sometimes. It's just
Keep tanking.
They won't get out of their way for that, mate. You know that.
They won't get what?
They won't get out of their own ways for that.
No, they'll probably end up, just showing up and smashing the Bears this week, and then they'll go back to, we'll probably lose in LA next week, so it's going to be nothing anyway.
That's what I keep telling Manjot. They keep saying, "Oh, we're going to have a top 10 draft pick," and I keep saying, "No,
I don't think top 10.
No, you are not.
10.
No,
I'd
you
like
are
to get
not.
as high as possible, but the year to get all the linemen was last year. But again, they took a guy that was worried about wearing a Rolex and got shot in the chest for it. So should have got a lineman then. Anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah,
Continue
they'll
on.
do. The 49ers will do something dumb like win 2 more games and drop to like the 19th pick.
Yeah, exactly.
I can guarantee that. If I could bet on it, I would.
Yep, probably.
All right, last game for the week to preview. And we're going to Arrowhead for the LA Chargers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs might have clinched the division, but they need this conference win to keep ahead of the Bills, and they won't want to lose another game. The Chargers need this division and conference win, so the division and the conference win, to stay ahead of Denver and the Ravens for the playoffs. It's a really interesting matchup between two teams that you would find very unlikely, especially since the Kansas City Chiefs are obviously, as we all know, right now at 11-1, and the Chargers are at 8-4. But the way the playoff standings are sitting right now, this game matters a lot for the Chargers and a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs to be able to get that first round bye in the playoffs.
This is a great game, but I think what is so interesting about this Chiefs this season is just how their defense has just fallen off the radar. They just really, I mean, last year their offense struggled, but this year the defense carried them last year, but this year that's just not the case. And yeah, they're winning all these one-score games. In fact, they've tied. Is it the league record for teams that have gone on? Well, it's for teams that have gone on to win the Super Bowl, and had one-score games. It's 9. So, and they've already had 9 one-score games. So they're. I mean, everybody's seen it. If you followed the NFL, just how lucky they're getting. It can't keep continuing. So it just feels like this is the year where it's going to slip up when you get in the playoffs and that type of thing. The fact that Bryce Young and Aiden O'Connell carved up that secondary for the Chiefs is pretty scary. I think going into this game, yeah, you got Herbert, but to favor the Chiefs is who's Herbert going to throw to? They've got nobody on that receiver. Have we heard is McConkey going to play?
I think he's questionable still.
I think he's still questionable, mate. Yeah.
Is he still questionable? Okay.
Yeah, I think he was
thrown to Quentin Johnson.
Yeah, all right. That guy, he drops everything, and so it's just it's going to be. I think it's going to be a Chargers victory.
Yeah, see, I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure there because they lost J.K. Dobbins, who was playing really well.
Yep.
And Gus Edwards stepped in last week and was horrible. So I'm fascinated by the coaching matchup here. Andy Reid, one of the best offensive minds, against John Harbaugh. Is it John? Yeah.
Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh.
Yep. Jim. You know what I mean? So it's going to be fascinating to see what they scheme up against each other.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. A couple of heavyweights just going toe to toe. It'll be fun.
On that defense for the Chiefs too, Brad. Statistics wise, total yards allowed per game 311.9, so they're 8th. Passing yards allowed per game 224.1, ranked 23rd in the league. They are the Kansas City Chiefs. So you can pass on the Chiefs at will, and that sets up beautifully for Justin Herbert.
Yeah, he's just got to have somebody to throw to. Is the one thing.
Yeah.
Will Dissly,
wide receiver, number 1 receiver on the Chargers this week.
They've still got a very good run defense though, the Chiefs. So that sort of will play into their hands because the Chargers will need a bit of a run game even without J.K. Dobbins. I feel like the last few weeks though they have tried to, particularly against the Bengals, they tried to sort of have more avenues on offensively, like being able to pass the ball as well, which they did well in that game. So they're trying sort of just different ways. I feel like they're a bit preparing for the playoffs, a bit like the Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs is, all these one-score games, they're in third gear. They don't care. Their defense, I agree, isn't as good, but they'll have Hollywood Brown back, I think, next week or the week after. So they'll have another deep threat. They've been trialing with Xavier Worthy as a number 1. He's probably not a number one, so he'll become effective as just sort of a gadget guy. They're working Pacheco back in. They've had the emergence of Noah Gray, and being able to pair him with Travis Kelce, when Travis Kelce's in the playoffs. So they'll definitely come about towards later on in the season. I do agree with Brad. I flirted with the idea of the Chargers winning this game. I think if Dobbins was playing, I would probably be a lot more confident. I do like them at +4.5. The only reason why I wouldn't take them straight up, remembering that the Chiefs are sort of on a mini bye as well. I think they've got a 9-ish day break because they played on the Black Friday.
Yeah.
So a little bit of extra time to prepare. But I don't mind the Chargers in this spot at all.
I think you'll see heavy Pacheco for the Chiefs as well. Try and get his legs back under him after coming off the injury. I think they might feed him a little bit.
They have to. I think they need to control the clock, and so you could see both teams just trying to establish the run, especially in that first half. I think you're going to see that a lot in the first half, and then you'll see it open up.
I like a lot in this game. There's a lot of betting lines I love, so it's going to be a very interesting one once we get around, and they're all going to be up there and good to go. But as I said at the top, like the Chiefs need this, because if they lose this one, Buffalo looks like they'll probably do a number on the Rams this week.
Pardon?
Sorry,
Pardon me?
Isaac. It's going to happen because they're going to want to win this. Because if they win and the Chiefs lose, that's all they're waiting on, and they draw equal with the Chiefs. Buffalo goes ahead of them because of the tiebreaker that they've got now with the win over them. So both teams are going to be wanting to do that. So
there's definitely incentives too for the Chargers and the Broncos to try and get that 5 seed, because I feel like both of those teams could go to Houston and win, and then if the Chiefs are at still have that number 1 seed, they both know how to play them, so definitely a chance. Yeah.
There was a little bit of a storyline that'll come around next week as well, around that the Houston team as well. Like once they get through their games, because Texans are on bye this week. I think they're going to be wanting to win some games in their own division now too, to just really maybe push themselves, or in the conference rather, to try and push themselves ahead of the Steelers, so that they don't have to go up against the Ravens or the Chargers. Yeah, it's going to be. I think that's going to be a bit more of the narrative going forward. Will be teams trying to make sure that they're not facing off against other lower placed teams who are much stronger in terms of a team. Like they shouldn't be there. So it's going to be. We'll get to wild card round in both conferences. It's going to be full berserker mode. I think this year it's going to be a very different wild card round. All right, that's game previews done for Week 14. Of course, there's so much more we could talk about in some of the games. There's some really interesting matchups, just offenses to defenses and players matchups, but they were the 4 big ones in terms of teams and what they need to achieve this week. So we're out of that, which means we move forward to the fun part of the episode.
We're having a punt, having a slap, just having some fun, and then making some scratch. It's the Gday Gridiron's bloody best bets.
Yes, it is bloody best bets for Week 14. We are still on a heater. Brad, do you have some stats for me for this week?
So, this stats my believe it or not.
I thought for sure you were going to say stats my ass then, but just
so my Excel crashed on me, so it corrupted my data. So I'm trying to.
No.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out if there's a way I can get it back and all this and that. But so not the great. Nick kept us afloat. So Nick is our ringer, and he's doing a good job on it. So as long as Nick keeps going, then we're good to go.
Okay.
I on the personal note did very well this weekend. So I went for for first time in a while, went 12 for 12 on the NFL. So I'll take every opportunity I can to toot that. So I was pretty excited about that. But in terms of our group betting, we were about break even roughly for the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It hasn't been great. I don't class that as great, Brad.
No, breaking even. You don't bet to just break even. Yeah, I mean we're doing this to make some money.
You bet to win big.
We do bet to win big. That's why I swing a big hammer when it comes to betting.
So I've heard, Ian. So I've heard.
All right, who's going to start? Who wants to kick us off this week? Anyone really got some bets that they're really chomping at to get out there?
I reckon Nick's chomping at the bit. Look at him. He's ready to go.
It's not as good like a couple of weeks ago. There's not some saucy stuff that are out there. It's just some stuff that's a bit hard. You got to find some value. It's quite hard. 2-1 last week. The only bloody run wrong was the Ravens, and that's the one I put in my top 3 picks. All the other ones I won. I knew that was going to happen. One of them I was going to pick, but anyway. Back on to 66% for the year, 24-12. This week, I've got a player prop bet going back to a Thursday night game between Detroit and Green Bay. I'm actually going to go the over with Jordan Love, the 247.5 passing yards. I feel like they're going to be catching up a lot on this game. Detroit will get out early. They'll probably play some catch up, but I think Detroit's a bit banged up defensively. Jordan Love, I think, has had more than these yards for the last sort of 3 games. So it should be something where he'll be able to pass the ball a lot. And this is a game last year where Detroit had actually dropped when they had Green Bay come to town. So this will be something where I think Dan Campbell's going to let his guys know, get out early, make a statement. We've got to put our foot down in this division and separate. So this is a game where I think Green Bay is going to do a lot in catching up. Next one, I've got Miami minus 6.5 against Brad's New York Jets in Miami. I think with the mini bye, they're definitely in a good spot. The Jets have lost their last 6 games against Miami. They've been quite good. But apart from last week, they've been quite good. Miami, since Tua has come back, Tua's had some career sort of stats with passing percentage and as well touchdown and interception ratio. So they'll look to continue that. And defensively, they've been quite underrated, a little bit like the Chargers. Not as good, but quite an underrated defense. And finally, we've got the Chargers minus 4.5 at Kansas City. Like I said, if it was J.K. Dobbins was there, it would be something that I'd maybe go head-to-head. In Arrowhead, though, it's a bit tough. The Chiefs have won the last 6 games between the two. So I think it's going to be a field goal to win it for Kansas City. If we go the score line again, I reckon it's a 20-17 game. Might throw something like that this week as opposed to when we didn't last week for the Chargers and Falcons. So hopefully back to 3-0 week. Not as confident as last week, but hopefully it's one where we get 3 ticks.
Well, I like several games in this week, but I'm really like the Eagles in their matchup. Specifically, what I've been doing a lot is looking at quarter differentials and half differentials in terms of points. I know. In terms of points scored, but I've been making a killing off of it. And granted, it's been mainly, and this is all on my personal account, but it's been mainly the Lions. I've done a good job with the Lions, but this week I'm going Eagles in the second half. Their spread is only negative 5.5, so they have to give up 5.5 points. But I think the Eagles, again going against Carolina, the Eagles have the best second half offense in the league. So, and Carolina is vastly improved. But I'm taking the Eagles second half, having to give up 5.5 points. The other matchup that I like is Bears against your Niners. Sorry, But I just think that the Bears have really improved on offense. They're getting 4 points in this. I think the Niners defense is really starting to just wear down. They're just decimated with injuries. And after firing Eberflus, we see it time and time again. Every team gets that interim coach bounce, and this is the game where they're going to get that bounce. So I'm taking them Bears at +4, and then my last game, Cowboys are getting 5.5 points. Man, when this game came out, I think everybody in the league thought, "Oh, sweet, Cowboys, Bengals, Monday Night Football, Week 14, it's going to be a great matchup."
Nope.
Oh, geez.
It's still maybe.
Yeah, it's true. It could be enjoyable, but in terms of having anything on the line,
absolutely,
it's not there. But the Cowboys have been playing better each week with Cooper Rush. I really feel like that they're going to step it up. And everybody's waiting for the Bengals to do it, but they're not. So, and it's at home, which Cowboys have been bad. But I think they're going to turn it around in this game. And so I'm taking the Cowboys at 5.5 points.
Brad, you're probably being a bit too modest because on your own personal account, somebody went 16 of 16 in game picks this week.
Well, yeah.
Wasn't there a multi?
Well,
it was a multi Brad may have pulled out of prematurely where he could have won a lot of money. Because he was a bit afraid that the Broncos weren't going to do the deed. But in the end, the Broncos were all the way in and definitely did the deed. And Brad shouldn't have pulled out.
No, but I'll admit, that game had me. In watching that game, I was kind of glad I did, just in the sense of. Obviously, I would have wanted the bet and been able to get the full payout. I ended up taking about half of the full payout. But it was such a crazy game. I don't know if you guys watched it.
Oh, yeah.
Or not.
I watched it. Yep. It was great. It was a great game.
I would have had a heart attack. It was crazy enough when all this. So I realized I won all the morning games, the 4:00 games my time. I knew I won all those. So I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. This is interesting. So I'm not gonna look at my phone, and I'm just gonna watch the games. And I tell you, watching that stupid Carolina Tampa Bay game just put me through the ringer, and I was having so much fun though. It was the most, because the games were good games last week. Forget the betting; it was just good games. But everything that could broke right for me to do that, to win all those games. So Richardson leading the Colts down on the last drive, getting a touchdown, winning the game. This ridiculous Tampa Bay getting into overtime, having the ball 30 seconds left, having to go back and score. It's just so many good things happened, and I was just like, wow, this is fun. This is why we watch football. Forget the betting. The betting was a bonus, but I just thought it was great games.
Just wanted to put it out there. Just make sure everyone knew. Brad went 16 and 16 in picks, in game picks. All right,
we'll take it.
And if he was actually keeping up with his game picks on our official scoreboard, it would have been a monster week. So
that would have been helpful.
Isaac, some long shots for this week. What do you got?
Yeah, get me some long shots. So I went 1 and 2 last week. So that wasn't too bad.
That's fine. You hit one long shot, mate. It's all good.
Yeah, I got the Panthers to cover the 12.5 against the Eagles. I'm going against Brad there, but no Goddard, no Devonta Smith. 2 targets away from Hurts in that offense. And Carolina's been playing okay football. Like, they've been in games, they haven't been like they were at the start of the season.
Much improved, yeah.
The Panthers know. Brad might have been having a heart attack against the Bucks, but I have a feeling the Panthers know what they're doing. I think they're making games entertaining, but fully knowing that at the death, no, we're just going to leave it.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, shucks, we get a high draft
It's
pick.
like, we could beat you if we really wanted to, or we could get this high draft pick.
They're definitely a better team down the stretch than the Chiefs for sure. We'll trust that.
And I must say, I'm enjoying the turnaround by Bryce Young. Like,
Yes.
on the bench
Yeah, of
and
course.
Yes.
coming good. It's really good to see. He's smiling on the sidelines now. So
Yeah, you don't ever want to see anybody struggle the way he did, especially a number 1 draft pick. So, yeah, I'm with you. It's really cool to see.
yeah. And my next one is, sorry to Brad again, but I reckon Burrow's going to pass over 300 yards.
Oh, I hope not. But, well, he very well could. The Cowboys' defense sucks, so, yeah.
And 200 of them are probably going to go to Chase.
Ooh.
So, and then my other one is against your Jets there, Brad, again. Tyreek to get 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's
okay.
coming back.
All right, you are doing the long shots, but like Ian said, all you have to do is hit one of them, and then you're golden.
Yeah. And like your personal betting account there, I think on that 16-legger you put 50 cents on. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's because when you're pulling 600 to 1 odds, 800 to 1 odds, whatever it is, you just do it for fun.
Yeah. Just don't sell your car, whatever you do.
Yeah, no, not on a multi to try and win every game. Do not sell your car on that. Which leads us to Ian.
What you could sell your car on, Mike Evans, 120 plus yards and a TD.
I love it.
We are going Mike motherfucking Evans to just go balls to the wall. He has 480 yards to go before he gets to the Magic Mike 1,000 yards. So we've got 5 games, 480 yards. This is just working out. It's going to become a golden. So it's very, very doable, especially the way Baker's playing. And you got to know that they'll be going. He has incentives in his contract that say 70 receptions, 1,000 yards, and 10 TDs. All 3 of those are doable within the next 5 games. So he gets an extra $3 million on his contract for that. Mike Evans is 100% just going to go that. So we are 120 and a TD this week. I said that on breakouts on the fantasy show last week that he'd go for 120 yards, and he went for 118. I missed by 2. Terrible. Anyway, Vikings at home. I'm going to take them at -5.5 versus the Falcons. I think it's going to be a bit more than that 5.5, as we all talked about earlier. So we need to dredge on with that a bit more. And then, sorry, Brad, Chase Brown is going to go for 50-plus rush and receiving yards versus the Cowboys. So running back for the Bengals, the little-known running back that no one knows who he is, Chase Brown. He's been good for around 30 to 40 a game over the last few games. This is against the Cowboys, who their rush defense is just horrible. So I'm just going to go 50-plus, but I'm going to go rush receiving just to sort of hedge my bets a little bit there. Cowboys are going to get demolished on defense there, Brad, but it'll be offensively. That's just how this is going to go.
Just getting no respect.
Suck.
No respect.
What's the over for this game?
To be honest, Cooper Rush could throw for 300 yards with how the Bengals defense is.
Definitely.
And you can be assured when we get into our group betting later, I am definitely looking at Cooper Rush's numbers, his over/under, because it's going to be up there, and it's probably going to be a bloody good bet. So because of the way this Bengals, it's 50
is the line. Oh, smash that over.
50.
There you go.
When you do on our game picks on our betting for AGN tipping competition, you get to that last game and it says the tiebreaker is what's the combined total of this game. Well, this week I went 84 points. That's what I think the combined total could be around that this week for this game.
It very well could be.
40 points each, easily. So it could be. All right, that's bloody best bets for this week. And as always, the betting information on Gday Gridiron is provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. There are no guarantees that tips we provide will provide success or profit. All sports tips provided are our opinions, and punters are encouraged to use this information in order to form their own opinion about the outcome of a sporting event. Bet at your own risk, and always consider what you could lose before placing that bet. Boys, week 14 is upon us. That was a great episode. I think we're going to have some good matchups. There might be a few of these bad teams that play really well, so we might actually get a few more fun games, fingers crossed, this week. But yeah, we're doing pretty well. Apart from that, I guess we should sign off. And I say thank you very much for joining us. Check out the AGN linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network. We find all the links to everybody's shows, socials, and of course our merch store, where right now you can buy a few cool Christmas presents for some of your friends and family and fantasy league teammates, anybody you can find. Purchase a few shirts or some stickers or something. There's 35% off site-wide right now if you go there. Absolute bargains, some amazing designs, some pretty funny ones and some pretty cool Gday Gridiron ones to boot. So go and check that out. On behalf of myself, Isaac, Nick and Brad, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next week.
The Gday Gridiron podcast is brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, a network of Australian podcasts bringing the fun and a little bit of the Aussie larrikin to the NFL and fantasy football. Check out our other amazing productions. Australia's #1 fantasy football podcast, the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Everything about the local game at Aussie Gridiron today. Manjot's Pastry Press on Instagram and YouTube, and Australia's very own Dynasty podcast, No Huddle Dynasty. Find links to everything at linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network.